It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Deezer, Stitcher, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also, to follow Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter as well. We're here with a wonderful award-winning movie director, actor, producer, writer extraordinaire, founder of Churchhill Productions. And of course, you know, he likes to make it a church out of things. And he's also got quite a number of films out, runner-up to The Champ, The War Master, Fear of Pain, Emerging Past, Amityville Harvest, Kiva Falls, The Stepdaddies, Xenophobia, Clown Motel, The Rack Pack, and on and on and on. But we're going to get to one of his biggest films to date as well, too. I mean, I could go on forever and ever, but we like to find more about this guy who pretty much, I guess you can kind of say, built a temple in a sense, with his production company and just making just a lot of great movies. So live, ladies and gentlemen, from Los Angeles, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, and he is the ultimate New Yorker, live from Los Angeles, Thomas Churchhill. Thomas, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you very much, Mike. It's very great. I'm grateful to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
All right, that's fantastic. And I'm looking forward to having you on as well, too. You're award-winning movie director, actor, producer. You're founder of Churchhill Productions, and you were born in the Bushwick section of Brooklyn, raised in Queens, and you also have a number of films out there. You've had The Business of Christmas. You also had, Xenophobia, Clown Motel, Rack Pack, and Twisted, Lazarus, Apocalypse, Mr. Hush. I mean, just a huge list on your IMDb and everything else too. The Hard Way, Checkpoint, which I can see right over here. Just great films, and I'm ready to watch those after I get done with you. But just going over your accolades. And before we do all that, just tell us how you got started.
It all started when I was a kid. My parents thought I was good enough to be an actor. I wanted to be an actor as much as I could. They sent me to all these auditions and back in New York, and there was this main audition for a movie called The Champ that all stars John Voight and Ricky Schroeder. I was in a top 5 for that role in New York, and it ended up going to Ricky Schroeder. So fast forward a few years later, I still had the bug in me, the acting bug, and I convinced my dad to buy me a video camera back in the day so I can kind of make my own project and showcase who I am as an actor. And that's when I fell in love with her. I fell in love with the art of movies. I said her. Movie making to me is a relationship, and so I've been in a relationship with her for a very, very long time. I fell in love with the writing, the producing, and directing aspect for the project I was doing. At the time, I was 17 years old, and won my first award back then. The name of the movie was called The War Master. And I was very excited that people took the film for what it was and serious, and I was able to get it in local video stores. So it kind of gave me this high and validation of what I can do, and what I can't do, if you set your mind to it. I never taught myself. Sorry, I'm getting all these calls coming in now as I'm talking. I never set. I never didn't learn how to edit. Didn't know how to edit. Didn't know how to shoot. Didn't know anything. And then on that film, it was trial by error, and the movie was successful. Went on to win awards in this film festival back in Queens, New York. I ended up ultimately within the next 4 years, ended up making 4 other films for the neighborhood.
Wow!
Shot them around the neighborhood. Wrote, produced, directed, starred in them, and put them in the local video stores until I felt like, okay, I think I've done enough here in my bubble.
It sounds like an amazing bubble. Sounds like they went to all the blockbusters and then you decided to move on to bigger and better things. That's what it sounds like.
Well, it went through all the home mom and pop stores. It went through all the mom and pop stores throughout New York, and people liked it. It was written up in all these newspapers. I was written up in the New York Daily News, the New York Times, the New York Newsday, local papers like the Ridgewood Times, and it was kind of cool at one point where I believe it was New York Newsday. I was in high school at the time. I was going to Franklin K. Lane High School in Jamaica, Queens. So I don't know if they changed the address, so I don't know if it's Brooklyn or it's Queens. So that's why I'm like Jamaica or Queens. But it was I went to Franklin K. Lane High School, and I remember coming to school one day and people were calling me Spielberg, and I didn't know
Spielberg, really?
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know if that was supposed to be an insult or whatever, but Spielberg and Hitchcock are my 2 favorite directors. Until finally it was gym class, and people came up to me and showed me the newspaper, and there was this big spread, and they called me the Spielberg of Franklin K. Lane. And they had this. It was. I just remember looking at it, and that was the first time I felt a combination of nerves. I don't really get nervous a lot, but I felt very nervous, and like that's my everything I ever did privately is now to the world, and it was an experience. But it was a good experience,
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you had a really good experience as well, too. And besides Spielberg and Hitchcock being your favorite directors, who are some other favorite directors growing up, and also your favorite actors as well in TV shows and movies?
My favorite other directors is I like Orson Welles, Francis Ford Coppola, De Palma, Scorsese, George Lucas. These are the guys that when I was in my era, they were just pretty much coming up. And they were all hardcore indie guys at first and became pretty much the guys who changed the face of cinema. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of cool to have a group like that. I mean, if you go back to the 50s, you had the Rat Pack.
I remember that, yes.
All these entertainers, Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Joey Bishop. These are the guys that kind of changed the way of entertaining. They sing, they dance, they act, they're tough, they're not, they're comedic. And then fast forward in the film business, you had this tight group that these guys were close friends. Mm-hmm. Scorsese, De Palma, Spielberg, Coppola, George Lucas, all these guys were friends, and they all hit it at the same time.
Wow.
And in fact, George Lucas showed a cut. The rumor has George Lucas showed a cut of Star Wars, and nobody understood it. The original version of Star Wars, and it wasn't until Brian De Palma suggested what is now the famous opening crawl. He said, "Why don't you write something that at least gives people an understanding of who's who before we're watching the movie, because it's very confusing." And that's what he did, and it kind of helped everything. So it's funny how, you know, tight-knit groups that can be in a race to kind of like always challenge each other are good friends, you know, and instead of looking at it as threats to each other, they looked at it as helping each other.
And I think that's how it should be, too, especially with today's Hollywood. Sometimes you see a lot of the fighting going on, and, it has some of that come back as well, too. And we'll also talk about some of your movies as well, too. You wrote, produced, and everything else. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Deezer, Stitcher, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. You can also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with the founder of Churchhill Productions, Thomas J. Churchhill, the award-winning movie director, actor, producer, writer, and we talked about how he got started, some of his influences and everything else. And of course, we'll talk about some of the movies as well too, and also some of the works as well too. You also had Assistant Devoured. They had Katie's Wish, Mr. Hush, Emerging Past, Lazarus, The Apocalypse, the Twisted series, and more. And you can tell us about some of the films as well too, including just like a whole list. You can just pick ones that you really enjoyed.
Well, a lot of those titles that you ran off, I either produced, associate produced. I might have written a few. I look at more as what's current or in the last 10 years that defines who I am as a filmmaker and what I got coming out. I'm very, I consider myself an action / horror thriller type of guy. Most of my work is they're all thrillers. They're either action-based or horror-based. We have, there's a film on Netflix now called The Hard Way, which I wrote the film, stars Randy Couture and Michael J. White.
Hello, dog. Hello, doggy. I was going to say, who's your guest here? We'd like to have him on. Checkpoint is another film that I wrote, produced, and directed with Bill Goldberg and William Forsythe and Kenny Johnson, and the list goes on. It's about domestic terrorism. Nation's Fire is my latest action thriller. Stars Krista Grady-Saxon, Gil Bellows, Chuck Liddell, Bruce Dern, Lou Ferrigno Jr., the list goes up. Paul Sloan. It's an ensemble film, an action thriller, biker film that just came out this past Tuesday, January 21st. It's available on every cable network that has VOD. And it's streaming on all sorts of VOD platforms, as well as you can go into a store and pick up a hard copy of it. Nation's Fire. Lorene Landon also stars in the film. She does an amazing performance. I'm just, grateful. I've got a few horror films that are in canon right now that's ready to be shot out. One is called Big Freaking Rat. It's a big creature feature film, something fun that I wanted to do for a long time.
That's coming out. The Amityville Harvest is coming out. The Stepdaddy's coming out. So those are my return to horror films. And now I'm going to take a break and go shoot a Christmas movie for the end of the year called The Business of Christmas.
Oh, nice. Okay, because I noticed you have it on the IMBD, and maybe just a brief sneak of what that's about. Of course, you know that Christmas is going to be quite some time away as a Christmas Day start winding down again. So maybe just a little sneak peek.
It's my first Christmas film. But my second project, working with Hillionaire Productions, with Jamie McCoy, who I'm very fond of. She's and a great executive producer. The Business of Christmas is pretty much a family-styled Christmas movie where, you know, you have to family's business is going out. You know, they may lose their business, but the spirit of Christmas and all things that occur could help them out. That's all I can pretty much say, about it. It's a great story. It's a heartwarming story. It was written by Frederica Armstrong, who also wrote the Stepdaddy film for Hillionaire Productions. So getting back to work with those ladies again, I'm excited. You know, we're going to be shooting that in the Poconos. So we're heading over there within the next couple of weeks to shoot that film. And then I come back to L.A. and I got a little bit of a slate that I have to take care of that I'm very excited about: mixed movies, action films, and horror films. And
I also noticed that you also got your version of M on there, too. And it also sounds like that famous, what was it, that Peter Lorre, was it M or Doll M for Murder or something? It's like you got your own signature on that. And tell us about your version of M.
Well,
just quickly.
Sorry, more calls.
Check a message. Maybe we'll call back unless you're giving us pizza.
There's a trailer out there that people can go look at. If you go to Facebook and look up Thomas Churchill's M, you'll see a trailer. It's I think Kill Bill meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Kill Bill meets Buffy the Vampire. I can imagine that right now.
With a very iconic Hollywood person in the lead role. So there's a trailer that you can find on YouTube, and there's a trailer actually on my website at churchhillproductions.com. And then we also have a Facebook page for M as well. Basically, it is Thomas J. Churchill's M.
That is fantastic, too. And we'll talk about some of your other projects, people you met, and everything else. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention The Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. We're on 35 platforms. You can choose which one. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with award-winning movie director, actor, producer, writer, and founder of Churchhill Productions, Thomas Churchhill, here on The Mike Wagner Show. He's born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, and he's got a new movie out called Nation's Fire, which was just released, and also had a number of films as well, too. We talked about just quite a number, as good as IMDb page, and check that out as well, too. And of course, you also had some interesting encounters, like with Fred the Hammer Williamson, who not only appeared in in Checkpoint, and you also had ministered to him as well too. That you first met him and Take Sunday Mornings.
Yes, it's everybody always asks me about that story. My dad used to take me when I was a kid to the park or to movies. That's who actually introduced me to the world of cinema. Was my father, who wasn't in the business but just loved movies. And one of his favorite actors was Bruce Dern, who my father passed away 5 years ago, and then he got an opportunity to actually see me, his son, direct his actor, Bruce Dern.
Wow.
Who we have in Nation's Fire. So that was pretty special to me. Checkpoint, Fred Williamson is in. The story goes, I met Fred Williamson a long time ago when I was a kid in the Central Park Zoo with my father in New York. My father pointed him out and he said, "See that guy over there? That's a movie star." Now, he said, "That's a movie star, son." Now, this is before social media and everything. When movie stars, when you saw them, they weren't so where you can just talk to them or anything. They were so far away from the real world. Just by all you saw them was in newspapers and magazines and on TV or on the big screen. It wasn't social media where you can, read his tweets or go on his page and see what he's doing and you feel like you know him. This is way before that. So I let go of my dad's hand and I beelined all the way over to Fred Williamson and I tugged on his elbow and I said, "How are you, Mr. Williamson? I want to be an actor just like you." And I remember him saying, "Little man, where'd you come from? Where's your father? Where's your parents?" So my father came walking over and started talking to him and apologizing for that I just approached him. And so I, as a kid, you're listening and then you get bored. So I turned around to look at the seals. And fast forward, every time I've done a horror convention or a pop culture convention, Fred Williamson was always around. And I wouldn't go back to him. I wouldn't talk to him because that's my childhood. Mm-hmm. I produced a film called Mr. Hush, and there was this Mr. Hush convention where Fred was at, and so was I, and we were both by ourselves in the green room. Mm-hmm. Fred turned around and he introduced himself, and he says, "Hammer, how you doing, dog?" And I said, how are you, sir? I said, we actually met some time ago. He's like, "We have? What show?" And I said, "It wasn't a show." And I brought him back to the Central Park Zoo, and he remembered that day.
Oh, my.
He said, "I remember that kid. You were with your father." And I said, "Yes." So then I wanted to do something different, and I didn't want to just be known as a horror guy. So I started writing I lost my dad, and I started writing Checkpoint in his memory. And there was a character named Chester. Now, Chester is also another name for Charles, who that was my father's name, was Charles. And the only person I wanted to play Chester was Fred Williamson. And so when I called him and he came on, wanted to do the role, he loved the role. And so that's my story. That's my my full circle with Fred Williamson.
Wow, that is amazing. And of course, I still remember him from the days of the Kansas City Chiefs team. It was still terrifying then.
Yeah.
So, oh, my goodness. And he also won 8 awards as well, too, with an emerging past, 4 awards for Best Picture, Best Actress, Actor, Song, Trailer. And tell us about that. And that must have been a big accomplishment for you.
Yeah, Emerging Past took a few years to come to the screen. I've done it as a neighborhood movie. And then I went back. That was the first movie that, when I say neighborhood, I did it when I was 19. And then I wanted to go back and tell that story again. So that's the first movie that I pretty much state the first of my professional career. The Emerging Past Director's Cut is a movie I'm very, very proud of. There's another version called The Emerging Past that may be still out there, but there was a lot of hands in the editing on that one. And even though it won some awards, I was never really 100% happy with. So we went back in, and there's a director's cut that's streaming on every platform now. There's, I believe it's on Amazon and Shudder and Vimeo and there's like all you got to do is just Google The Emerging Past. That's also the first film that I met Chris DeGrady, who is now Chris DeGrady Saxton, and we developed a great working relationship, and we've done about 10 projects since then. And our latest is what just came out, is Nation's Fire.
Nation's Fire.
Chris DeGrady is also not just the lead in the film. She's actually my boss. She's executive producer on the movie. Her and her team, her husband, Bob Ori, and partners, Jerry Roberts. The film is it's about a mother who loses her child and what she would do to clear his name. And it's a drama. It's got action. It's a thriller. It's got a lot of heart in the film. So if you haven't already downloaded, anybody out there, or watched it, check it out. Nation's Fire, streaming right now, VOD and DVD in stores.
That is amazing. We're going to check that out as well, too. And also, I was going to ask as well, too, since you're into cinema, directing, and everything else, if you were to choose an era when it comes to movie making, which era would you like to work in? Like go back, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Wow. I always felt like I'm an old soul. I think I like the periods of the 50s and early 60s because I just thought everybody respected each other and it was a different world. And everybody's costume was pretty much, suits and everything else. And it just looked so classy. But I love the era I'm in now as well. I don't know. That's such a great question, Mike. I mean, if I think about like Orson Welles and his first movie, Citizen Kane, he was doing things technically in that film that were so unheard of, but it's a standard for today. So you're doing a movie in the early 30s of like jib shots and tight close-ups and extreme close-ups and a two-shot and a dolly movement, unheard of back then. And here it's standard. Everybody does it today. And it's fascinating.
And of course, I can still hear Orson say, Rosebud.
Yeah, it's a great. This is where technically and film-wise, amazing film, but it's a very boring movie because it's really about nothing. It's just when you realize what Rosebud is, it's doesn't even make sense. But we talk about Orson Welles because he made that movie at 25 or 26 years old, but there's so many amazing actors that you don't really hear about. Like, for example, Victor Fleming. People kind of know his name, but they don't know his name. But here's a guy who was responsible for 2 massive movies back in the day. So he's in the middle of shooting Gone with the Wind, all right? Big epic film. He's on his last 2 scenes of shooting Gone with the Wind, and the studio tells him, hey, drop everything you're doing. I need you to go to the other soundstage to take this other movie away from this other director, and I want you to start shooting.
Oh, wow.
And the other film happens to be The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, my goodness.
So here you got this guy that nobody ever, you only learn about this when you just do little reading. It's not like you don't hear about these massive decisions that the dude didn't even finish filming. What the hell was I just said it? God, why?
He talked about he was in Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. Thank you.
Yes. But frankly, my dear, we do give a damn about it.
Right. No, he directed that movie, and he didn't even finish the last 2 scenes of the film. And they tapped him and said, we need you to go to the other soundstage, because they were getting rid of the other director. So the other director was getting fired. Nobody knows who that director was because it's not public. But Victor ended up getting credit for both of those movies. And responsible. And both of those movies, here's the way Hollywood used to work. They were not hits. It took a period for it to become a hit. Just like It's a Wonderful Life. Everybody loves it. It's a Christmas staple. But when that movie came out, it bombed. Nobody cared for it. And it was not until, I believe, television was the one that made it a hit. And television came out from that time, 20-something years after that movie came out.
Wow.
15 years. So it's funny how things are dead in the water and then have another life with another medium.
That kind of makes me think of, the radio stars, some getting their better reprieve on TV and some dying. And, of course, then you have the TV, then it's going to the Internet, and then Internet to streaming. It's just one of those things where it's like some people make it when they go into a new venture and some just die out but reincarnate in some way. That's what it sounds like. Video star killed the radio star. Yes, I remember that song. Oh, my goodness. I don't feel like getting anybody started, but for some of us, a good thing, yeah. Yeah. But let me tell you something. Sometimes for critics out there that watch a movie, because it just, I'm close to the industry, so I see a lot of it. When we see a bad movie, who do we blame? The director. Oh my God, this movie's terrible. What did he do? He's a hack. He's this, he's that. But sometimes it's not the director's fault. Sometimes he maybe he did make a bad movie or bad choices and he was okay. The studio was okay with it. But 9 times out of 10, there's other people above the director that may go in and change things and fix things and cut things a certain way. And we blame the director, but there's other hands involved. So anytime I watch a bad movie, I never blame the director anymore because I'm like, all right, something must have happened. Maybe the executive producers, cut it wanted to, to cut it out. Maybe they didn't have, they didn't see eye to eye. Like Waterworld, the great thing about Waterworld, Kevin Reynolds was the director, and he and Kevin Costner had a falling out filming. So Kevin Costner locked Kevin Reynolds out of the editing room. Oh, wow.
And what you see is basically Kevin Costner's version.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, that happened to me in the past with a couple of films where I was kind of locked out of the editing room, and sometimes the choices that are made are the executive producers. Like there's like Checkpoint. There's I didn't have anything to do with that editing in that movie. So if there's holes in the film, there you go. There you have it. The storyteller was not allowed.
My goodness.
Yeah. But,
wow.
Although I'd love to do a director's cut and actually show you what I wanted to do with the film, but I don't know if I want to walk that road again.
You know what? I think you should probably do that sometime as well, too. Maybe have a part 2 and just show a director's cut, and we'll just call it like a show right there. Thank you for your time. I think we should do something like that. Have you back on and say, great. Here's a director's cut, and say, thank you, it was great.
But see, that's sometimes that'll be a great thing to do, to go back and revisit and fix what you wanted to do. Sometimes making a particular movie might have broke your heart doing, and you don't want to revisit it again. So you rather just leave it at where it's at and just move on and do other things.
I can see what you're saying, and that's a really good point as well, too. And you also had some interesting moments in your career as well, too. What do you consider your most funniest moment when it comes to being a producer or directing or being an actor as well too. What do you consider your most funniest moment that you've encountered or experienced?
Funniest moment, professional, like on screen, to do something on screen, or something that just occurred when you got there and it was funny, like bizarre, like funny strange. I can give you two of them. Funny strange.
Let's do both versions. I love both versions. So
we went. My business partner David M. Parks and I got off the plane and thinking we were going to make a certain type of movie that I wanted to make with Checkpoint, and there was a person we'll call it. There was a person kind of in charge, but didn't know really what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Who decided to take my assistant director away from me because he said, I don't need an assistant. If I want my own coffee, I have to go and get it. And I looked at him and said, an assistant director doesn't really get you coffee and everything, right? So, and this was a guy I had to look at and call my boss.
Oh my goodness.
So that would be funny, laughing, and funny, strange, and that's the dude who locked me out of post. I wasn't allowed to do editing because of that guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, sounds like you got a lot of war room stories when it comes to editing. Oh my goodness, opens up a whole new world.
Yeah, you know what it is, because at that point everybody feels like they're the storyteller. They're with you through the whole battle. They watch the film, they read your script, they love your script, they agree on your script. You go out and you're all there shooting that script, and everybody loves what you're shooting, but then they become a narcissist, and the ego kicks in because they feel that they have to do it, and they don't know nothing about the process or storyline. They may know because they read the script, but they don't know anything about techniques, about breaking the 360 line. They don't know about the eye line. They don't know anything about that. So when they start butchering your film, and they start moving a scene here and moving a scene there and moving around because they think it's going to flow better. But anybody that's creative or technical are going to watch this and say, why would you put that scene there? It makes no sense to the rest of the story. And that's Checkpoint.
Mm-hmm. And I can see what you're saying, too. That's a fantastic point. Love to have you back on, talk about more movies and everything else. I mean, you've been great and everything else. And what do you consider your most defining moment in your career? The most defining moment?
First time I got paid to do what I do. Because I was always told, I had real jobs growing up. I did painting. I was an operations manager for pharmaceuticals. I did painting. I worked for Boar's Head. I was a carpenter, and I always had the love of making movies. And everybody always told me, my family and all, go get a real job. You're fooling around making movies, blah, 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 blah. And then once you become, I said, well, what is it when you get a real job? When you start making money? Okay. So now I make money making films, and so it's my real job.
That is amazing as well, too. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
My parents. Because if I didn't have the support of who they were and who they are, I probably wouldn't be doing this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is amazing as well, too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
If you believe in something, stick with it. You'll achieve it. You believe, you achieve, and you'll receive. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Follow that little voice inside you that's telling you what to do, whether it's entertainment or regular work. Just believe in who you are. Believe in what you do. Be honest about it. Be true to you. Don't hurt anybody along the way, and everything will come to what you want.
And that's a fantastic point. And Thomas, just want to say a big thank you for your time. Once again, Thomas Churchhill, founder of Churchhill Productions, award-winning movie director, actor, producer, writer, and also got a number of films out right now and also a number in the works. And before we go here, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, and where can people purchase or watch your movies?
I just want to give a quick shout out to my publicist, World PR, Jimmy Starr, Eileen Shapiro, Ron Russell for hooking me up with you and being who they are with me. Churchhillproductions.com. People can look me up. People can also go to my Facebook, my Instagram, Thomas Churchill. Twitter's Thomas Churchill. Up there on all that, you'll know what's coming up, what films are coming up. We have 3 in the can that's going to be shot out this year. Coming more out, Big Freaking Rat, The Amityville Harvest, The Stepdaddy, and we're going into production with another 6 this year. I'm just grateful for everything I've done. I do want to go back quick to Checkpoint. I do like the movie, but I think there's a better movie on the editing machine, on the hard drive that we shot that's not shown. So okay. I just wanted to state that. Without holes, by the way. People can Google me if they want to know more about me, but check out Nation's Fire. Just dropped VOD, DVD. Thank you very much, Mike, for allowing me to be on your show. I'm very, very grateful. And thank you.
Fantastic. Anytime, Thomas. Looking forward to having you again soon, and keep us up to date. All the best. Love to have you back on sometime before 2020 expires.
Whatever, you just make it happen. You know, Jimmy will make it, or whoever. Just, I'm here. I'll be more than happy to come back on. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.